Okay, so we're going to be doing something a little bit different this week. I wanted to do a video about how the Yaris was built. So I dug up all the photos and videos that I could find on my phone, and I'm going to do like a little how-to 2ZZ your Yaris. It may be a little bit boring. I'm not sure how this is going to turn out yet, but just bear with me. There might be a little bit of voiceover, and I'm afraid it's a little bit funny at the moment. Not that you care. There wasn't really anything out there when I wanted to do this to help me, so I kind of just made it up as I went along. So enjoy. So this absolute weapon is my 1.3 SR Yaris that I paid £180 for back in 2019. I was using this car to commute to work in, so I didn't have to use the Celica, and then obviously when it was broken constantly, I was driving this. I did a couple of track days in it, where people were quite amazed at how quick this thing got around the track, especially at Cadwell. I had someone come up to me and was like, what the hell's in that? Beat Tom on the rally sprint in his 86. Sorry, Tom. So during COVID, I was in the office quite a lot at Sport. Someone reached out to us with this Celica. It didn't run, it didn't drive, and they just wanted rid of it. So we brought it off them. I stripped off most of the good bits. But as you can see from this video, it was like a rat's nest inside. It had trees growing through the boot, and kind of thought, what the hell have we done here? Like I said, it didn't run, so I managed to get the thing running. I'm just watching this. This is pretty fantastic. Look at the state of this thing. The smell was unreal in this car. Look at that. That's mad. But sold the seats, the dash, TRD dash. It was a TRD car that had been reshelled. Sold. It had a Power FC, which sold. Body kit, I think, sold, and broke most of the car up. And then I brought the shell with the engine and the rest of the running gear off Adrian. See, got the thing running. Wow, check it out. Weapon. So first thing to do is rip the engine out of the thing and the gearbox. I basically brought the it was an empty shell with engine and gearbox and the wiring and the shifter, and that was about it. As you can see, it wasn't too hard to get out, considering the state of it. Look at this man work. What a pro. What? Hey. So with it all out on the floor, I could kind of see what we're working with. Got the box off to have a look at the clutch. As you can see, it's absolutely foobarred. I don't know who the previous owner was, but it was absolutely foobarred. The rest of the engine, I stripped all the crap off it, like the loom and everything. It was been sat up for quite a while. Like you can see, all the pulleys and everything were pretty knackered. All the alley and everything's gone in front of it. It was all corroded. It was just, yeah, this is the crank pulley. What was left of it, the other half of it had just disappeared somewhere. I mean, she was probably due an oil change. I missed a few. The lift bolts look like they've never been done. So pretty vital thing to do in the 2ZZ. State of that block, man, with the exhaust off. So yeah, that was stripped down, and now it was time for the Yaris. So big shout out to the guys at ECU Master UK who actually sponsored me on this build. They sent me over a ECU Master Black to stick in it, and we also had some pre-terminated loom to sort it out. So cheers guys, thanks for that. So with the 1.3 engine out on the floor, it actually is pretty small when you look at it. I had to try and work out how we were going to fit the 2ZZ into that little engine bay. Thankfully I did have Tom to help me along with this, it wasn't just me doing this. But as you can see, it's pretty big, and that had to fit in there. So one of the many lists we wrote. So we go crank oil seal, change that. You see the rest of it is pretty nasty. Basically the idea of the build was to do it as quick and as cheap as possible, because I wasn't sure how long I had until I had to open the workshop back up again. So I didn't want to take everything apart, paint it, clean it. I wasn't even sure how long the engine was going to last, or if we were going to be able to do this. So I basically just wanted to get the worst of it off, make sure it was like things like water pump had been done, so I didn't have to do it in the car if it needed doing, and just make sure everything mechanically was kind of sound. It's got a low temp thermostat in it, just changed water pump, it had an overdriven alternator pulley, and a new crank pulley and a tensioner, and that's about it really. OEM clutch is all I had in it the whole time I had it. So this was one of the first test fittings that we did to see what was actually going to be needed. So as you can see, it's literally just held in with the crane, but the chassis leg is kind of a problem with this. So that all had to be cut out to make room for the gearbox. So we used the spirit level, try and get the engine as level as possible, and then wedged it up to that position to hold it in position so we could mount everything. So I lost count of how many times we actually had this engine in and out trying to measure up for doing anything. As you can see, the battery tray and everything was all cut out to make room for that gearbox. Then you have to get the subframe, had to go up to make sure everything lined up. As you can see, it was pretty damn good. The other thing is get the exhaust straight. I cut the ends off because I was V-banding this to make it a lot easier. It's one thing that is always overlooked and no one could be bothered with is the brake pipes come out the right hand side of the master cylinder there, so when the engine tilts it's going to smash them off. So I wanted to put them on the left hand side and do it properly, so avoid any brake failure. I spent a long time trying to search and find a master cylinder that would work. This one had to come from Europe, from ABS. So when it came to the wiring, it wasn't too bad, to be fair. Most of the stock loom from the 1.3 actually plugged straight in, so it was just a case of stripping it all down and routing it. I did have to run some wires for the VVT and for the lift, obviously, to the ECU, but yeah, made up my own wiring diagram for this. So I sat and worked out the wiring myself, basically. I just hardwired it straight into the stock loom that was there, and it just works. So thanks to ECU Master, because the thing runs so well. So for the shifter, I used the Celica shifter. I just drilled and nutserted into the tunnel there to hold it in, because it was a slightly different shape. And the cables ran straight under the car. I just heat sleeved them, so they run quite close to the exhaust in the Yaris. So I covered them in front heat sleeve. So for the cooling system, that's a Mini Cooper S overflow header tank. I also used the radiator from a Mark III, I think, diesel Yaris, because it was the only thing that would fit in the hole. Mishimoto 12-inch fan that Amber supplied for us to help us out. This is the first time the engine went in properly. It seems like it was an easy job, but this was like the 100th time of going in and out. As you can see, I've used like a battery box to use the stock starter wire and the battery wire. I ran a battery behind the seat on the passenger side. The thing I forgot to mention is this lower subframe bolt, so that the rear engine mount at the bottom needs to be cut and welded and adapted. That was a bit of a ball ache to do. That's a Super Pro mount filler inside it, but yeah, that's also another bit of fabrication you need to do. I'll get a load of hate for this, but I took 2ZZ sump off and put the 1ZZ sump on because it has a windage tray in it. It is not a baffled sump, I know that, but I just wanted a little bit of like something in there that stock sump didn't give me. And to be fair, this thing got its head kicked in constantly, and I never had a problem with it, so it must work. So Super Pro bushes for anti-roll bars, the engine mount filler, lower arm bushes, front and rear. I had the caster adjustable bushes on the back, which are sick. They make so much difference to the self-centering. So these were fun. That's Mark III MR2 anti-roll bar bushes that I cut down to make work with the Yaris anti-roll bar links. So you have to make a bracket for the throttle cable because there's nowhere for it to attach. I think I just threw away the one that was already on there. You have to blank off the idle cap there, and that Samco line goes to the servo. And I just had, I think that's an old MR2 Mark II intake. So the exhaust was pretty much made out of whatever I could find kicking around. That is a stock 2ZZ center section, I think. And I'm not sure what that flexing nuts off, but I wanted to try and keep it quiet as possible because it was so raspy. So there is 2 resonators in the front. That's a GT86 resonator, I think. And then I brought a humongous back box, which was straight through, to try and keep the noise down, because honest to God, it was so loud. So big shout out to BC Racing, who helped make us a custom set of coilovers for the car. So thanks a lot, guys. Really appreciate it. So for those who are going to ask, that is a Corolla front hub and a Yaris lower arm with Corolla drive shaft. And then we cut and welded the hubs so they had the bottom ball joint from the Yaris, so that you could use the Yaris bottom arms. So basically the premise was that if I was to crash the car, I could easily replace anything. I didn't want all this, like the consumable parts, to be custom made. The front brakes are just Corolla Tsport brakes that I stripped down, painted and put back together. I used EBC yellow stuff pads to start with some blueprint discs, but I had issues with the brakes, so ended up changing to black diamond Predator pads. So this was a massive pain in the ass. I think in the end what happened was I ended up with the Yaris Mark 1 inner joints and Corolla Tsport outer joints. I can't remember, I thought I'd written it down, but apparently not. I went with so many different options to try and get enough length on that track rod end, because the track was about 20mm wider, so I couldn't get enough on the stock ones. something else I forgot to mention is that's a Mini Cooper S power steering fluid reservoir. No doubt I've missed a load of things out on this build, but if you have any questions, feel free to just get in touch or put a comment down below and I'll try and help you out as much as I can. forget to like, subscribe, and apparently hit a bell. Ding ding!